Hello and welcome to the Family Storytime Podcast. I'm your host, Aubrey Adrianson, and with me today are Amanda Hayes and David Curry. Today we will retell the story of the biblical flood, also the story of Noah, and Amanda and Dave will react to the story in ways that we've all seen our children react to this story, or in ways that we believe our children will react to this story. And the purpose of the show is to point out some problems in these kinds of stories and how they are not useful in teaching children morals or important life lessons, while having a little immature fun at the same time. The biblical flood will be retold in part from the Bible Hub, and you can find a link to the Bible Hub on the Godless Family website. So, the story of Noah begins with God looking down on earth, and he is dissatisfied with man. He feels that man is become unworthy. They're evil, they're corrupt. But as he's looking down, he finds one man among them all that he believes is good and pious, and that man is Noah. So God goes to Noah and he says, Noah, you need to build this huge ark, which is a boat, and you're going to gather up 2 of each kind of animal and the seeds of plants and store all those animals, all the plant seeds, food for all the animals and your family in this boat. And Noah's like, all right, sure, God, no problem, because you're God. And putting a bunch of animals on a boat, that sounds like a great idea. So he does that.
Totally good plan.
And he gets these animals on the boat. He locks up, gets it all watertight. And then after that happens, it starts to rain. God makes it rain. And it's raining and it's raining. And it rains for 40 nights straight. And the entire planet gets flooded all the way up to the highest mountaintop. The earth is just covered in water. And all the people on the planet, all the animals, they drowned in this huge flood. Not even the birds really survive, except for the birds that are on the ark from this flood. Not even the sea animals survive from this flood. And so it rains for 40 days and 40 nights, and then there's the ark just kind of floating on the sea. He's just hanging out there in his ark with all those animals. And then the waters start, over some time, the waters start to recede. And then a mountaintop, a peak appears. And somehow the ark gets to that mountaintop, we don't know how, and finds land. And so Noah and the ark, they're kind of hanging out on this mountaintop, and as far as they can see, there's still all this water, and Noah sends out this bird to try and find land. And I don't know what kind of conversation he had with the bird before he sent it out, so that the bird knew that it was supposed to be looking for dry land. But, that somehow took place. And he sent the bird out to find land. The first bird he sent out did not find land. He sent out a second bird some days later to go find land, and then that bird didn't find land. And then the third bird that went out, it came back with an olive branch, and somehow that olive branch meant that there was dry land somewhere. So Noah's like, all right, yay, we're done, we can get out of the ark. So he gets out of the ark, he kills one of the animals on the ark as an offering to God, and then he decides to basically make his covenant with God. It was like he's going to make this pledge to God because God's this awesome guy. He just killed everyone on earth, but not Noah, not his family. So he decides to kind of make a deal with, his covenant with God to show his appreciation. He circumcises his sons. And he kills one of the animals to say thanks to God. He circumcises his sons to say thanks to God. And he and his family then repopulates the earth. And that is the story of Noah and the biblical flood. Any questions?
um, why was God mad?
Well, nobody really knows. The story doesn't say. It only says that he felt that man was evil
Uh,
and corrupt.
well, I mean, don't you think that it's important to know? What if the people didn't know they were doing stuff to make God mad?
I don't know. It doesn't really say.
That's crazy. I mean, my mom always tells me when I'm doing something wrong so I don't do it again. I mean, it's only fair if you're going to tell people what it is they did wrong, then you go killing them for it later. I mean, if you're not going to tell them, come on.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
Wait, so the people who didn't get on the ark, they all died, right?
Yes, they all drown.
Even the babies? Wow,
Yes.
that's really mean. Especially after what David said about God not even telling them why he was mad. Those poor babies.
Seriously, and all the kiddies? And how can someone be like 900 years old?
He was 900 years old?
Serious?
Yes, I forgot to mention that in the story. Thank you for bringing that up, David. Uh, Supposedly, Noah was 900 years old when he died. But at that point in the story, I believe he was only 500. I don't know. I don't know how someone can be that old. It's just a part of the story. And maybe it's magic.
Hey, Albus Dumbledore was like, oh no, he was like 200 and something, I think. Nicholas Flamel was 500 and something, and that was magic, so it's probably magic.
Oh, and the elves in Lord of the Rings, they live to be thousands of years old.
It's settled, it's magic.
and nobody lives that long now.
Hey, I
Well,
bet you.
no.
Oh, nope, they don't. Not anybody that I've known. But you get to live a long time if God likes you.
That's what they say.
But what's circumcision?
Oh, so okay. On men
I
and
mean, I'm
boys.
interested. I don't
This
know
is
what that is.
I've
yeah,
never
that's
heard
kind
of
of
that
strange,
either.
right?
What is that?
So on men and boys, there is some extra skin at the end of your penis, and that's called the foreskin.
This is extra? There's
It,
there's extra on there?
well, this is what people think that skin is extra, and so during circumcision they cut off that extra skin.
People
Like with a
actually
knife?
cut at their peepees?
Yes,
Ew!
they did, and they still do it now
Why?
because they think that's what God wants.
There is no way someone is cutting my penis, and I'm not going to let anyone do that for anyone.
That
I
sounds
understand.
yucky. Back to the story.
That's
I have a
bad
question.
touching. That is bad touching.
I agree.
So, in the story, how did the animals reproduce? I mean, there were only two, so brother and sister would have to mate with each other. Yuck. I don't want to marry my brother and sister. My brother, he's gross. I wouldn't marry my sister either. She's also gross. They're both gross.
The story really doesn't go into that, but you're right. That is a major flaw in the story.
Oh my gosh. And what about Noah's family? The children would have to marry each other too. Ew.
Ew.
Yep, that's scientifically that is a problem. But we don't have time to go into all of that today. So, can you please tell me what it is you learned?
Well, obviously you don't piss off God, and you just gotta know that you're pissing off God, but you can't do it.
Oh, also, back in olden times, people had to marry their sisters or brothers.
Yeah. And if God likes you, you can live to be 900 years old.
And some people cut off parts of their body because God said so.
Those were interesting takeaways. Thank you guys for listening to